Today we are going to discuss about the novel therapies in Sjogren's disease. We just discussed the recent articles which were published and which has discussed about the recent therapies for Sjogren's disease. So we know Sjogren's disease is a chronic systemic autoimmune disorder that primarily involves lymphocyte infiltration of exocrine glands with frequent extraglandular manifestations. And Sjogren's disease predominantly affects women in the 5th decade of life, with the female to male ratios differing depending on ethnicity. So in Asian patients it is 27:1 for female to male ratio, and in the African American patients it is 7:1. But here we see that female prediction is more for Sjogren's disease. It is a B cell dysfunction and hyperactivity is a hallmark of Sjogren's disease. So serum B cell activating factor BAFF is called as a serum B cell activating factor is elevated in patients and upregulated within the salivary glands. The autoantibodies, the rheumatoid factor, anti-Rho and anti-La emerge a median of 4 to 6 years prior to the development of symptoms. So the symptoms of Sjogren's syndrome, we know it is the dryness of the mouth, dryness of the eyes. That before the symptoms develop, the serum of the patient shows the autoantibodies like the rheumatoid factor, anti-Rho and anti-La antibodies. So the observed glandular lymphocytic infiltrate becomes more organized within time, and with an increase in B cell infiltrate and germinal center formation as disease progresses. So inside the salivary gland there is more of B cell lymphocyte infiltration. Over time what happens, the germinal centers form inside the salivary gland that can be seen in the progress disease. So this is about Sjogren's disease. And what does the recent study say about Sjogren's disease? The recent meta-analysis by Huang et al. Revealed that Sjogren's disease was associated with almost 50% increased risk of mortality compared with the general population. So because of the vasculitis and interstitial lung disease which develops during this in the patients who have Sjogren's disease. So this is a recent meta-analysis, and there was a large international retrospective cohort study. This was done way long back, which included around 11,372 patients with Sjogren's disease and identified 2 key mortality risk factors at the time of Sjogren's diagnosis, namely positive cryoglobulins and the high systemic activity assessed using the European Alliance of Association for Rheumatology, which is called as EULAR, and Sjogren's Syndrome Disease Activity Index, which is ESSDAI. So this is the index which is used to assess the symptoms of the patient, in which the activity is increasing. That those kind of patients are having more mortality risk. So another recent study published in 2021 has said that increased risk of lymphoma likely arising due to chronic antigenic stimulation of autoreactive B cells contributes to high mortality risk and comprises of up to 20% of all SJD related deaths. So the deaths which are related to the Sjogren's disease might be due to the increased risk of lymphoma which are arising in these patients. So this is the recent articles about the Sjogren's disease. And what about the therapies? What are the types of therapies which are currently available? That are the B cell targeting therapies. We know the B cells are they become stimulated because of the autoantigens, and so the targeting B cell is one of the therapies. And there are therapies which target the kinases, interferon, and the cytokines. So when there is a immune reaction, there is secretion of all these cytokines. So the therapies which can target these cytokines is also available. Then the therapies targeting B and or T cell interaction. So there is always a B and T cell interaction which causes the immune reaction happening. So the therapy which targets that also is seen, and there are some oral therapies which can control the symptoms of the disease. So talking about the B cell targeting therapies, there are 2 methods. One is by B cell depletion. The other one is the BAF, which is I have told, is a B cell activating factor, the receptor blockade. So in B cell depletion, the monoclonal antibody rituximab is used, which is a chimeric anti-CD20 monoclonal antibody in the Sjogren's disease, but it found no improvement in the dryness, the global disease activity, pain or fatigue as assessed by visual analog scale in patients treated with 2 infusions of rituximab given over 2 weeks compared to placebo at weeks 6, 16 and 24. So the symptomatic improvement was not seen there, but there was a statistically significant improvement in the parotid echo structure and composite ultrasound parameters. So what they found in the ultrasound, that is the echogenicity, homogenicity, glandular definition, glands involved and hypoechoic foci size. So these were all measured using the ultrasound, which the two studies which were done by Jones and Jolin et al. Demonstrated improved parotid parenchymal ecostructure in 50% of the patients taking rituximab compared to the placebo at 24 weeks. So this is a B cell depletion drug which is used as of now. And the BAF receptor blockade is ianalumab, which acts via B cell depletion and BAF receptor blockade, which is assessed using the ESSVI. As I already mentioned, this is a criteria which is used to assess the symptoms of the Sjogren's disease. So the assessment by ESSVI at 24 weeks, a non-statistically significant reduction in the score was found by about 1.92 points. So when I talk about this score, so this is how the scoring is done. So they just see whether there is any fever associated with any infection or any voluntary weight loss is there. Accordingly the score is given, and lymphadenopathy, glandular involvement, articular involvement, cutaneous involvement, and pulmonary involvement. So all these things are measured, and it is given a score, and accordingly the disease is scored, and they can compare before the treatment and after the treatment, and they can find the efficacy of that drug. So this is the scoring function. And next is the therapies which targets kinases, interferons, and other cytokines. So kinases, the drug called filgotinib, lanraplenib, and tirabrutinib. These are the inhibitors of JAK, SYK, and BTK signaling. A small non-significant benefit was found for each therapy at 12 weeks, with higher response rates for each therapy compared to placebo. So the studies which compared these drugs, they found very small non-significant benefit. Whereas for interferon signaling, RNase Fc fusion protein, which degrades the RNA and inhibits interferon alpha signaling, found a significant decrease in mean mental fatigue component of the profile of fatigue. So there, in the syndrome, the Sjogren's disease has a mental fatigue component also. In that, they compared the mental fatigue component through the profile of fatigue. So it had the point which is reduced compared to that placebo. And other cytokines like IL-6 receptor blockade with tocilizumab. So the response was 52.7 versus 63.6 in the placebo group. So these are the drugs which are used for targeting the kinases and the cytokines. The therapies targeting the B cell and T cell interactions is the CD40 ligand antagonist, which is a dasodaligand. So this was a CD40 ligand targeting drug. And the other one is the abatacept, a non-significant reduction in the ESSVI score by 1.3 points related to placebo was seen. And the lymphotoxin B receptor fusion protein, bamidirecept, showed no benefit for the primary outcome of the stimulated whole salivary fluid. The iscalimab and the amabab inhibiting B cell and T cell interaction via CD40 154 post-stimulatory pathway showed significant mean reduction of ESSVI score of 5.21 points at the week 12. So these are the drugs which are explored in the targeting the B and T cell interactions. And in oral therapies, Da Mata et al. Compared malic acid lozenges with citric acid mouthwash in a phase 4 non-placebo controlled RCT, randomized controlled trial, which had a sample size of 110. It reported a significant reduction in the xerostomia inventory for both the groups compared to baseline. There was a reduction by 0.4 in malic acid group, whereas 0.1 in citric acid group with a P of less than 0.05. So it was, the practical point is there are currently no approved therapies agents for the Sjogren's disease. 20 recent RCTs have examined novel systemic and topical, ocular or oral therapies in SJD. And promising therapeutic targets in Sjogren's disease includes B cell via CD40 and interferon alpha signaling. Topical secretagogues and immunomodulatory eye drops demonstrate potential benefit in Sjogren's disease. So when we see the pathophysiology of what happens in Sjogren's disease and where does the drugs which we talked about ACT, we have this dendritic cell which presents the antigen to the T cell, then the T cell and B cell interaction happens. So in each of the step we have all these drugs which I have explained in the seminar. So the drugs which can go and act in each and every single molecular pathway helps in controlling the symptoms of the Sjogren's disease. Thank you.